Good evening, everybody. I am a few minutes late, unfortunately. I've had a lot to contend with today. I feel slightly flustered. Just breathe. But yeah, how's everybody doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Today we are having another episode of Questions with Nyime Live, which is actually the last in this series, actually. It's the last episode. It's episode 8. Can you believe it? Episode 8 of series 1 of Questions with Nyime Live. So then I'm going to be having a few weeks break off social media completely, actually. And so, yeah, it's exciting. Hi, ladies. Welcome. So on Tuesday we tackled 2 scenarios. The first scenario was Alicia and Kemi, and the second scenario was Tokumbo and Caleb. And so I did post a recap just like half an hour ago, so if you want to like refresh yourself and then come back, it's fine. But today we're going to be tackling 3 scenarios that I posted. So Amarachi and Obinna, Amina and John, and Mark and Nadia. Mark and Nadia I posted quite late, so I don't know. I'll go through all the scenarios again, but for those people who don't know what this is about, Questions with Nyime Live has been an interactive series, kind of bridging from my single questions, basically going through different topics, friendships, relationships, vulnerability, intimacy. We've talked about all those things recently in the last few weeks. And then this week has been scenario week. So I basically created fictional scenarios touching on different topics and asked you guys for your input. Asked you guys for your thoughts on these scenarios. And yeah, let's talk, let's dialogue, and let's reason together. But yeah, I hope everyone is doing well this Friday evening. Hey Lottie, hey Joni. Everyone's doing well this Friday evening. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hello. But yeah, it's 8:35. Let's get started. But before I get started, actually, guys, let me just say a massive thank you to everybody who has voted for me for this Gospel Choice Music, these Gospel Choice Music Awards. Yeah, it's actually 2 awards. I've been saying it's 1 award, but it's 2. So it's International Song of the Year, International Female Artist / Vocalist of the Year. And so currently I'm in 2nd place, which is great. But anyway, I just need y'all to keep voting every single day, because it will be amazing to win something like that. And obviously, you know, if you have award-winning artists next to your name, then it's like, it gives you a little bit of like, okay, what are you doing? So, I mean, in as much as like, you know, the validation that I have and, you know, I need is from the Almighty. You know, for people want to see accolades and they want to see awards and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it'd be amazing to win. So please keep voting. You can vote as many times as you want. Keep refreshing the page. You can vote today, tomorrow, like all up until March the 31st. It'd be much appreciated. Thank you for sharing. If you have, sharing your platforms, whether publicly or privately, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. But yes, keep voting. Where can you vote, Joan? If you check my profile, I pinned the post. I posted it today because it's the voting started today, so I pinned it to my profile, and then you'll be able to see all the details there. If not, I'll send it to you later. I'll send it to you on WhatsApp later. But yeah, I think it's also my WhatsApp stories as well. But yeah, oh, okay, Lottie, no worries. Next time, come back next time, yeah. But yeah, let's get started. Let's talk about these scenarios so that you know, I can let you guys get on with your evening. So, oh great, thanks Joni, thank you so much. Every vote helps, every vote counts. But yeah, so we did 3 scenarios this week. The first scenario was Obinna and Amarachi, which are both amazing Igbo names. Just had to put that in there. But basically this scenario deals with marriage and in-laws. So I'm going to quickly read it for those people that may have missed the scenario, and then we're going to discuss thoughts on this particular scenario. So, okay, here we go. Obinna and Amarachi have been married for 5 years. For all intents and purposes, they have a good marriage, except for the one issue that tends to cause contention and arguments between them: Obinna's mother. Amarachi and her mother-in-law's relationship has been techie, to say the least. Obinna is the last born of 4 sons, and he grew up very close to his mother. Amarachi's first time meeting Obinna's mum was exceptionally difficult. It was clear that their relationship was going to be an uphill struggle, as she did not feel like Amarachi was good enough for her son. Obinna's mum had no filter and felt no way about shaming her as a wife in public. And Amarachi felt as though Obinna allowed his mum to get away with her behaviour towards her. He rarely defended her in public, and when Amarachi would pull him up on it, he would play down the situation, saying that his mum would come around to her eventually. Obinna and Amarachi have been trying for children for the last 3 years. Recently, they found out that the reason that they had been struggling to conceive was because of Obinna. At a recent family gathering, Obinna's mum had been exceptionally hostile to Amarachi, so much so that Amarachi left the room in floods of tears. Obinna's mum criticised the fact that they hadn't had children yet and put the blame squarely at her feet. Even with the information that they both had about why they were going through an infertility journey, Obinna did not come to his wife's defence. How would you advise Amarachi? So this is a techie one, because obviously it touches on marriage, it touches on family, it touches on in-laws. Obviously, people say that when you get married, you marry the family of the person that you are, you marry the family of the person that you're getting married to. And I believe that's true. And if the family of the person you're getting married to are not welcoming of you, they don't embrace you, it can be very difficult, particularly as a woman marrying into a family, because you take on that family's name and everything like that. And I know for culturally, this is a Nigerian couple. Culturally, if his family don't like you, it can be very, very difficult. Let's just put it like that. From the stories I've heard as well. So this is difficult because obviously there's a huge culture of respect here, like contextually, culturally. So Amarachi can't necessarily say to the mother-in-law, can you stop saying those things, or defend herself. Like in the ideal world, it will be her husband defending her honor, her husband actually kind of like coming to her defense and saying to his mother, actually, like, some of the things that you're saying aren't helpful. At least working through that, because ultimately, you know, he's married to this lady now, and that's his wife, this is his new home, his new family. But unfortunately, again, you know, depending on the relationship that he had, and he grew up very close to his mother, it did mean that it was difficult for him to do that. And I think he didn't really see what she was talking about, or he didn't feel like it was as big of a deal as she was making it out to be. I think with this particular situation, obviously you've got the issue of like infertility, and that's quite common for a lot of couples, and to find out that the reason why they'd been on this journey was because of Obinna, obviously gave them a bit more clarity. But the reality is that a lot of the time it's the woman that people will look at as the person that potentially has the issue, because obviously the woman is going to be the one to carry the baby. On this occasion, though, I do believe that Obinna should have stepped in, knowing that he was, like, the results came back, and, you know, I don't know, I didn't go into the detail of what the issue specifically was, but knowing that he had that information, I do believe he should have actually spoken to his mom, or at least tapped her and said, it's okay. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, that family dynamics, you know, but the fact that she's run out in floods of tears means that she's gotten to a place of, you know, potential breaking point. So yeah, it's interesting. What do you guys think about this scenario? So, you know, for those that have just joined, we're just talking through some scenarios that I posted over the last 3 days. The first one is to do with Obinna and Amarachi, dealing with a mother-in-law who's overbearing, not getting on with her daughter-in-law, and the son not necessarily defending his wife or daughter-in-law. Also having the issue of infertility, meaning that but as a result of something to do with an issue to do with the son, the mother-in-law coming down hard on the daughter-in-law, even though the son knows exactly what's going on. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, guys. I want this to be as interactive as possible. I'm going to go through actually some of the responses that I had on this particular scenario, because there was a number of them. I'm looking down at another phone at the moment. Hello. If you just give me a moment while I get, yeah, here we go. Archive. Right. So yes, I'm gonna go through some of the the answer that we had. Right. So someone said Amarachi needs to pray and break the umbilical cord that's still attached. I would have to agree with prayer at the very least. She needs to pray about it. If she loves her husband, she believes she's supposed to be married to him. They've been married for 5 years, so this is something that she's been dealing with for a number of years now, and I guess it can be very, very draining. I can only imagine it can be very draining. There's somebody else responded and said, "Hey, Nyime, this is such a tough one. This may sound passive, but I would advise patience and prayer. Things could change in the long term. She shouldn't lose hope. It's not a battle for her to fight. It needs to be handed over to God. Outside of this particular issue, she should try and maintain a good relationship with her husband." Now, this is sometimes what marriage comes down to. There's something that you're both dealing with. It's difficult, perhaps for one party than another, but you committed to one another. You committed to being married. You committed to in sickness and in health, richer for poorer. What's the other one? Richer for poorer, for better for worse, right? So this is the worst for Amarachi right now. And so the advice that I just read is saying, actually, it's not great right now, but pray about it. Talk to God about it. Talk to Yah about it, and let him give you what you need. Let him comfort you. Let him support you whilst this situation resolves itself. Now, I don't know how long that can go on for before she'd get to a point where it's like, this is I'm reaching breaking point right now. I don't know how long that's going to be, because if it's still the same situation in 5 years, so when they get to like the 10-year anniversary, then, I'd understand if Amarachi was considering separation, or I don't know, or like having some time apart, because I do believe what the Bible says in the sense of like, when a man and a woman come together, it's leave your father and mother, cleave to your wife, and so you become a unit now. And so mommy and daddy, mother and father are not the primary stakeholders anymore. It's your wife or it's your husband. And so I do believe that Obinna needs to kind of develop some grit, and be able to even have a conversation. It doesn't have to be in public, but in private at the very least, have a conversation with his mother, because I think seeing his wife respond in that way, particularly over this particular issue, should hopefully help him, hopefully shake him up a bit. Hopefully, I still have hope for them. I have hope for Obinna and Amarachi. I have hope for them. I think they'll make it. I think they'll make it. And hopefully along their journey, I mean, look at me talking about them as if they're real people. They're fictional people. But obviously people go through things like this, so hopefully along their journey, they are able to, have a baby, have a child. And, I've heard stories of, parents who are just overbearing, but once a grandchild comes in, to their life, that it really softens them. So who knows? That might be what happens. That might be what changes the situation. So that's Obinna and Amarachi. Somebody else said, good question. She should have a cry and see if this marriage is what she wants. Maybe seek counseling. I think counseling is a very good idea, because it will help both parties hopefully see each other's perspective. Also give them tools to be able to navigate the situation. Sometimes going to a third party helps, whatever each party is saying and their communication get across. So I think that's good advice, to seek counseling. But that's Obinna and Amarachi. Let me know if you have any thoughts, guys. Okay, so let's move on. Time flies when we're having fun. Every time I do this live, time flies. Time just decides that, you know what, when you do this live, I'm gonna go the fastest I've ever been. But it's great. It's all good. Let me get the next scenario up. So the next scenario was Amina and John, right? And it's really interesting coming up with these kind of scenarios, because I really have to rack my brain, like, when I was coming up with these. But as I started writing, like, different ideas would come along, so it was really cool. Anyway, this is Amina and John. We just did Obinna and Amarachi, and we're doing Amina and John now. Amina has been dating her partner John for 2 years. She believes he is the one. They met whilst doing voluntary work at the local housing shelter. Amina fell for John's charming and caring manner, while John loved Amina's heart for justice and her desire to help those who were in need. Amina comes from a very strict home, and in the 2 years that she had been dating John, she hadn't told her parents. The main reason is that her parents have long expressed their strong desire for her to marry someone from their culture. Amina is Indian, but her boyfriend John is Ghanaian. Amina had been afraid to tell her parents about her relationship for fear that they would be unwilling to accept John because of his race and his culture. However, the relationship is getting serious, and they have recently been having conversations around marriage. Amina finally plucked up the courage to tell her parents about her relationship. Her parents were disappointed, to say the least. Amina apologized for having kept it a secret and explained the reasons. Her dad firmly rejected the idea of it and presented her with only 2 options. She could either break up with John or leave and have no contact with her family. How would you advise Amina? Sorry, I've got children that I've just gone down to sleep, so I thought I heard one of them. But how would you advise Amina? So this is an interesting one, because obviously you've got the issue of obviously being in a relationship, being in an interracial relationship whereby you've got parents on one side who are frowning upon it because, they have their own perspective on things. And then you've got how she deals with that in terms of the ultimatum between her family and her partner. It's tricky, to be honest with you. I think that when parents have such a strong desire for their children to marry from their culture, it's interesting because oftentimes those parents live, actually I can't say oftentimes, but from what I have experienced anyway, because I live in the UK, but for those parents who live in the UK, for example, and they strongly want their child to marry someone from their culture or their tribe or whatever it is, I'm like, by moving abroad, you've literally lowered the chances of that happening. You've lowered the chance of that happening. Your child has schooled, she's gone to college, university, met loads of different types of people, different cultures, races, just a lot of diversity as we find here in the West. And so it's just the likelihood of them marrying someone from the culture is going to be low. It's going to be low unless whilst here you are maintaining those cultural ties, you're regularly engaging with people from the same culture. I think it's very, very difficult. Now, obviously, Amina has met John doing something that she enjoys doing, which is helping those in need. It's very common, obviously, for, a cause to bring people together. So that's what happened with this couple. Obviously, she doesn't share the same sentiment as her parents, in that John is not from her culture. In fact, he's from Africa, West Africa. He's Ghanaian. But yeah, that hasn't stopped them from getting together. They've obviously been in a relationship. They've enjoyed each other and their company for the past 2 years. So it's a difficult one, because obviously you've got that family and the home that you've been raised in, and the fear of, or the desire, should I say, to want to please your parents and to want your parents' approval and blessing, but also finding love with someone. And so with her confessing to her parents and then her dad giving her the ultimatum, it's tough. It's really tough, because on the one hand, again, family are always there for you. Do you get what I mean? Have always been there for you, always will be there for you. But her parents have views that are, I wouldn't say that they're actually ancient. I think that is actually still quite common. But it's, if she was living back in like her home country of India, then maybe it would be something that it'd be a no-brainer. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The likelihood of it happening would be higher. But she's found someone she loves, and who knows, if she was to let this guy go, she may never find a love like this again. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. It's actually an interesting one. For those people that are on the chat, please let me know what you think. Let me even put this in the comment. Amina and John. So just to quickly run through it, Amina is somebody that's with a guy called John. And they are in an interracial relationship. Amina's parents frown upon the relationship because John isn't from their culture. Amina finally confessed to her parents because she'd been hiding the relationship. And they said, you either choose us or you choose John, right? And so, yeah, tell me what you guys think about this kind of scenario. It plays out quite a lot. And sometimes parents need to get used to things. I think sometimes parents are very used to what they know, and they want to perpetuate that which is familiar to them. And so it might, for them, from their perspective, it might be a thing of, well, I want to feel like I can be welcome at my daughter's house or my son's house. And that's where the whole the firmness about them marrying within the culture comes from. But at the end of the day, on one hand, it's like your parents are here, but they're not going to be here forever. And, to find somebody that you love and that you potentially want to spend the rest of your life with is something to be embraced. But it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. I don't think I have a clear answer on this one. I'm going to read one of the comments that somebody left in response to this. And let me just get it. I think it was on WhatsApp, actually. Hello to those people that have joined. We're talking about an Amina and John scenario. I'll run through it again if you really want me to. But somebody said that she should choose her family. She should choose her family. She shouldn't go with the guy that she's been with for 2 years and she potentially wants to marry, but she should choose her family, because family will always be there for you, essentially. I don't know if it's clear cut for me, to be honest with you. I love my family, but I'm also very strong-headed and strong-willed. And if I feel like I'm in a relationship with somebody that I believe is the one, as Amina felt, she feels like John's the one, then it'll be very difficult for me to I'd absolutely see my parents as being unreasonable. But there's a lot to consider, because not having familial support is the potential future that she's looking at if she chooses her relationship. But yeah, hello guys. Hello, hi. Let me know if you want me to run over anything that we've been discussing. But anyway, we've been discussing the scenarios that I posted Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're discussing Thursday's scenario with Amina and John. Again, it was an interracial relationship. Amina's Indian, John's Ghanaian. Amina's parents frown upon the relationship. They want her to marry someone from their culture. I'm just running through it, Lena. They wanted to marry someone from their culture. She's hid the relationship for that reason, but she finally confessed to them 2 years in, when it was getting serious, and they gave her the ultimatum of breaking up with John, which is their partner, or else leaving the house. Basically, her family will just turn their back on her, basically. So that's the story. Let me know what you think. The previous one we talked about was Obinna and Amarachi, the strong Igbo couple, which is an in-law issue. Amarachi's in-law, Obinna's mom, exceptionally hostile to Obinna. They were going through an infertility journey as well. She was very insensitive, and basically said to Amarachi, "You're the reason why you don't have children," even though Obinna was, they got some results back and Obinna was the reason why they hadn't been able to conceive yet. And he hasn't been defending his wife. So, and even in that particular situation, knowing the information that they had, he didn't defend his wife. So that's Obinna and Amarachi, and I've just run through Amina and John. So let me know what you guys think. Lena, jump in. Let me know what you're saying. You have a lot of wisdom to give to the people. So let me know what you're saying. But yeah. So that's Amina and John. Not clear cut for me, to be honest with you. I don't know how I would advise somebody like that. If I was in that situation again, I feel like if I believe someone was the one, it'd be very difficult to let them go because I'm looking at the future. But at the same time, to not have family support, I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. It's tough. It's really tough. But yeah, so let's go for the last scenario because it's almost 9 o'clock, and then we can run through all of them again and you guys can share your thoughts. So scenario number 5 is actually quite interesting. Why is blood boiling for Amarachi and Obinna? How do you mean? Why is blood boiling? I mean, your blood boiling. Lena, Amina needs to be sure about what's more important. Does John even want to marry her? Yes, so they have talked about marriage. The relationship was serious. They talked about marriage. So they've been dating for 2 years and we're talking about marriage. So yeah, John does want to marry her. Yeah, so. But yeah, clarify what you mean. Oh, your blood is boiling. Yeah, it is. I mean, because I feel like it's when a wife feels like she's in competition with her husband's mother, it's not a good thing, for the wife's soul and spirit. And particularly when the husband just doesn't have the balls to tell his mother, you may be crossing the line a little bit. I know your mom. Yeah, I know you're my mom, but you're crossing the line a little bit. But yeah, it's tricky. And this situation of in-laws is very, very common. It's very, very common, and I don't know how people deal with it. I'm really blessed because my mother-in-law has been so kind and warm to me. I don't have any issues in that regard, but I know people who do, and it's tough. It's tough. I can't even imagine it. But in some situations, the husband has been like stood up to the mother. In other situations, it's been something that the wife has had to ride out. I was talking about for better, for worse. This is the worst. So she's had to ride it out. And one of the responses that I read was that she should try and maintain a good relationship with the husband, pray about it, hand it over to God. But this is 5 years in. So the Obinna and Amarachi one is 5 years into the relationships. I'm like, if there's another 5 years of this, Amarachi might be considering separation, But Amina and John, are they of the same faith? I didn't even go into faith, but yes, I would say they're of the same faith. They're of the same faith. So yeah, so obviously faith comes into it. If you felt like you were with somebody, but then you're and you believe that they're the right person for you, but your family did not think that. Do you know what I mean? Let's not talk less of it being like you're not with the person of our tribe or from our country or whatever it is. But what if your parents don't support the person that you want to get with? Like, what do you do in that situation? What do you do? Do you get what I mean? Like, and I know people. I think it's very courageous and brave for people to get married and know that their parents are not in support. Know their parents are not going to be there, because there is that desire of a child to not want to disappoint their parents, to want to make them proud, so to know that that's not what you're doing in that moment, it must be so difficult. It must be really, really hard. But knowing that actually you still have a life to live, you want to get married, you feel like you met the right person. I don't know. I don't know how. That's difficult. It's really, really difficult. But yeah, let's start the third scenario so it doesn't get too late. But yeah, so Mark and Nadia, okay? Listen, Mark and Nadia have been married for 25 years. They met in Kenya 28 years ago. I don't know how I came up with these stories, but they're actually so good, you know. I feel like it's like short stories that I could be developing or something like that. Anyway, moving on. They met in Kenya 28 years ago, and when Mark worked as a teacher in the local school, they moved to England shortly after they got married, and they have 4 children together. Mark switched careers and went into law. He eventually became a successful lawyer and made partner 15 years ago. So they've been married for 25 years, and Mark made partner 15 years ago. So, being a commercial lawyer, Mark was often working long hours and needed to travel. It greatly affected his and Nadia's marriage, and Nadia often felt that Mark neglected the home so much so that his relationship with his children was also affected. Nadia had heard rumours about Mark being unfaithful, but she dispelled them from her mind. After all, in her head, why is he going to cheat, right? She was a great wife and mother. She supported him throughout his change of career, even working extra jobs to make ends meet when their income dropped. There was always a meal on the table when he got home. The house was immaculate. She rarely nagged him, aside from when she felt it was necessary to bring up important issues. So one day, Nadia's cleaning Mark's office when a bunch of papers fall to the floor. She picked them up and noticed 4 small printed pictures. She almost fainted when she noticed that it was Mark in the photo with another woman and a child. When she confronted Mark, he confessed to having had an extramarital affair when their marriage went through a rough patch. And he had a child outside the marriage. He was almost 10. Nadia nearly fainted from the shock. Mark begged her for forgiveness and expressed that he made several mistakes, but she was the only woman he ever loved, and he would not be able to live anymore if she were to leave him. Mark and Nads, that one is tough. A whole child, Lena, a whole child that is 10. Anyway, Sha, that was a tough one. Let me read some of your comments. It's hard to say because it depends on who your parents are. If it was me, I would definitely take time to think about it. I believe my mum to be quite reasonable. So if she says no, then maybe there's something I can't see. Good point. I think that, I guess in Amina's case, it's more so to do with the fact that he's just of a different race. So they're not even willing to meet him, get to know him, or anything like that, to even have any insight into his personality or his character, or whether he's a good fit for her or anything like that. But I hear that point. It's definitely something to think about. I actually know of, a story whereby, because they were of different, even within the same country, they were of different tribes. They didn't get married until their parents came around. And so they postponed their marriage for close to 10 years until their parents came around and accepted them. That, I give that's, for me, that's much respect. That's a whole almost decade that you're waiting on your parents to be 100% on board with who you marry. And I think it speaks to the fact that, having having that parental blessing is really important to some people. And if you believe it's the right person, if you have the same faith and you're praying about it, then, you believe that they're going to come around. But what if they don't? Who knows? Lena, it's very brave to do it, but ultimately, if you know they're the one, then they're the one. However, it's your background and what you've learned growing up. Your upbringing influenced who you choose. Interesting. So why are the parents not on it? What is it about John that Amina's parents don't like? So basically, Amina's from India, and her parents want her to marry someone who's from their culture, right? And so, yeah, John is not from their culture. So they're not even giving John the time of day. A whole child. He can't live. I guess he's going to meet his maker. Not 10 years. What a while. No. Imagine. I can't even imagine. These stories are wild, yeah. But these things happen. Like, where people find that their husband has had another family. Like, I just don't even know how it's possible for someone to do that. And then, for years, neither family knowing of each other, right? But yeah, Nadia, I think 25 years in, when you've given your life, your soul, your strength to a man and your family, and the man wants to be doing that. I mean, she had to find out about it. That's the worst thing. She had to find out it wasn't even like he confessed to her. He only confessed to her once she had seen the pictures. That's crazy to me. I feel like that makes it even worse. That makes it even worse. Like if you had confessed yourself, that's one thing. But for me to find out when I wasn't even looking for that, no. I think that would have to be, there's strong grounds for divorce there for me. Strong, very, very strong ground to divorce. They've got 4 children together though, and they have a life together. So it's not an easy decision to make at all. Divorce is never a straightforward thing. But I just feel like this is a colossal act of disrespect. Like, how? How are you gonna do me like that? How you gonna act like that? As in the words of Tyrese. As someone who has married someone from a different culture, there are so many nuances to it that I get why some parents are against it. Yeah. Share some of the nuances, Lena, because you have experience in this. But controversial, but I think there was a lot of naivety and burying heads in the sand. What's that in relation to, any? Amina and John? Yeah, I definitely think that marrying from a different culture presents its own set of challenges that obviously if you were from the same culture you wouldn't have. People say that about, you know, race as well, like being black. There's certain things that you just understand by virtue of being black that if you were to marry somebody who wasn't black, they wouldn't fully get. There's a part of you that they can't actually fully relate to. But Lena, that's a whole other life. You know what, Lena, right? I'm saying it right here, yeah? When I come back, this is the last episode in this series, but for next series, yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more, like, you know, interviews and chatty lives, questions with Nyime live, right? So I'm going to invite you on and we're going to talk about this because I think it's a really good conversation to have. Because I think that obviously when you're in love, you know, people that have been in love, you know, you're just in love. You're not really seeing clear. Not seeing clearly. I think that's not necessarily the case. If you know that's the right person, that's great. So you have seen clearly to an extent, but then the love comes in, and you know you have no idea what lays before you. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And so I'm ready. Tell me when and tell me where. Don't worry. I'll not DM you. I'll message you on WhatsApp. I'll WhatsApp you. But yeah, it's yeah. I think Amina might be. Is that what you're referring to? Any Amina and John? That Amina and John are naive. It's possible. Do you know what? I've actually seen a story like this though, but on the flip side. So the wife was Ghanaian and the guy was Indian. Yeah. And I think that I'm not even sure, you know, if there were issues. I think there may have been, but every union where it's been that I've come across, where it's Indian and Black or African, there's always kind of been some sort of issue. That's just something that I've seen. I'm not saying anything about Indian people or anything like that, but I've seen that there's always been an issue because I guess in like obviously with different cultures and obviously the family that you came from, you could be very entrenched in your traditions and your customs and, you know, what make you who you are. And, you know, it's difficult. It's a difficult one, to be honest. It's difficult. But with Mark and Nadia, I think Nadia should consider divorce. I think that for somebody to have a child outside of the marriage and not tell you, and the child is almost 10 years old, it's close to the age of your last born. Like, so I don't think I said the ages of the children. So they're 23, 20, 18 and 15 or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, that's a lot of children. But yeah, you just can't do that. It's a disrespect. It's a real colossal disrespect. 25 years in this thing, that's when you find out that, yeah, it's a disrespect. So definitely, Nadia, consider the relationship. I don't know if that, I mean, I think when it comes to cheating and infidelity, and particularly when it's the man that's been cheating, you know, there's this whole thing about women being more likely to forgive, more likely to Yeah. Take the man back than the man, obviously. Men are very clear about the fact that if their woman was to cheat, that's it for them. But women tend to take cheating spouses back, cheating partners back a lot. And so yeah, Nadia could potentially think to herself, I have invested 25 years into this marriage, into this man. I have given him 4 children. I have built and sustained in many ways this home. So I ain't going nowhere. Do you know what I mean? And she'd be well within her rights to think that. But the relationship of trust, you know, the trust has been completely torn to shreds. Like, how do you move forward with somebody when you don't trust them? There's a lot of work that would have to be done in order to recover from this kind of betrayal, I think. And not everybody's up to it. Some people can do it. I've heard some stories of people going through situations where, you know, their partners were just doing the most, you know, and cheating left, right and center, and they took the person back. But yeah, they made no, they didn't make light of the issue that it took a lot of work to come back from a relationship that has experienced infidelity. It's a lot of work from what I've heard, and you have to be willing to put that work in. It could be months, even years before that relationship is restored. And so I guess she'd have to consider whether that's something that she wants to do, or cut her losses, you know, perhaps potentially get a divorce, you know, live a life in peace, not dealing with any trust issues, potentially find somebody else, get married, live happily ever after, even though that's a myth. But yeah, that's Mark and Nadia. So guys, let me know what your thoughts are on that. But yeah, we've touched on Obinna and Amarachi. We've talked on Amina and John, Mark and Nadia, all fictional characters, by the way, for those people that don't know, scenarios that are created, but touch on different issues. And I think issues that many people deal with. And so yeah, I think that, yeah, that's that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Any more comments? Obinna Amarachi, any comments on dealing with an overbearing mother-in-law, a mother-in-law who just has no filter, doesn't like you, thinks you're the worst thing in the world because you married their son? Any thoughts on that? Amina and John, interracial relationship, different cultures coming together, family not being on it. Choose the family or choose the partner. And then last but not least, Mark and Nadia, 25 years in this marriage thing. And Nadia finds out that Mark was unfaithful, had a child outside of the marriage. How would you advise her? Let me know what you guys think. See if I've missed any comments. I don't think I have. But let me just double check. No, I don't think I've missed anything. But yes, guys, that is Questions with Nyime Live, episode 8. Can you believe it? 8 episodes I've done already in the last 4 weeks. But yeah, I'm going to be having a break after this. I'm going to be doing another series number 2, with way less frequency of questions and also lives. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've already potentially lined up my first guest. Wink, wink. But yes, it's been great doing these questions with Nyime Live series and interacting with my lovely followers. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening to my music, streaming my music. I really appreciate every stream because there's so many people you could be listening to out there, but you chose to stream my music. So thank you so much. Thank you for the support on the awards and the nominations and everything. Imagine winning this award, guys. Like, apparently the award show is in America. So I have to go to America, to travel to America to collect my award. So yeah, I'm putting it out there. I'm going to travel to America to collect my awards. I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there because that's what it is. You say it by faith, yeah? And that's all you see. and then it happens, and then you're on the stage and you're collecting your reward, and you're just giving him thanks and praise, giving the Almighty thanks and praise for what he's done, but also thanking my amazing followers for your support, guys. So I really appreciate all of you. Thanks for rocking with me on this series. And yes, we shall be back in the next few weeks, another series of questions with Nyime live. And yeah, please let me know if you want to discuss certain, like, I really want to, like, I really enjoyed it, and I really want to talk about things that are relevant, things that are people are going through, and let's talk about it. Let's let's find what the righteous way is, like the righteous approach is, because I truly believe that, Yah's way is the best way, and it's the most functional way for us. And I believe there's an answer to every solution. There's an answer to every solution. There's an answer to every problem. So yeah, let's find it. Let's talk about it, and let's find solutions. So it's been great, guys. I'm gonna jump off here because I've been on here for almost 50 minutes. But there are 3 scenarios today, so it's okay. Thank you so much for being here. For those that are still on, love you lots. I'm gonna save this live so that you guys can watch it again, or for those people that are gonna watch it again. But yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you on the other side. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye.